Tonight on the show, you know that moment when you hear Hollywood is adapting your favorite novel and your first reaction isn't excitement, it's fear. Will they honor the story you love or will they mangle it beyond recognition? From beloved characters getting rewritten to entire plot lines mysteriously vanishing, adaptations can either bring a book to life in amazing ways or make fans wish the studio had just left it on the shelf. So when Hollywood takes a story from page to screen, do they get it right or do they completely screw it up? Well, stay with us tonight as the gang dives into the triumphs, the train wrecks, and everything in between when books get adapted for TV and film.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hills Hat Nerds. Of course, today, joining us tonight is me, Lexicon, one of your glorious friends from the hills. And with us also is our brilliant lore master, Steve.
Hello there, Scott. Daniel, how's it going?
Just fine.
Now, it's been a month since our last show, all about the Legend of Zelda. And it's about time you heard from us, don't you think? So what are we talking about tonight, Steve?
Yeah, it's been a while. We've had a great show about Legends of Zelda last time. So let's talk about something new. If you heard the intro, Daniel read it beautifully. Let's talk about adaptations of books to media and how the good, the bad, the ugly, sort of like the three of us. I won't tell you who is who. But does anyone have we have a few questions.
Well, I'm sure as hell not the ugly one.
Maybe you are. You never know. We got some questions. So some generalized questions we want to talk about first, and then we each have some examples of things that we want to talk about. And, did they get it right? Did they get it wrong? So let's talk about some of these pros and cons of adapting the novels. I should mention before we get started, Travis couldn't be here to join us, which is too bad. I hear he's stuck down in the holler, but hopefully he will edit this out and get it to you into your ear holes quickly. Okay. Pros and cons of adapting a novel. Daniel, do you have a pro, like when Hollywood does this sort of thing? Is there something you think is a good thing that happens when they do these adaptations?
Well, Steve, I don't know who Daniel is, but Josh here thinks that one of the nice pros is it can be brought to a new audience.
Yeah, that's a good thing, right? Like, people might be exposed to something they haven't been exposed to before.
They just might like it.
Yeah, I know personally, I've watched a few things that I haven't. The Last of Us was a series that I had never played that video game, and I got to see that, and I went back and investigated the game and things like that. Do you guys have an example of a show that you watched that maybe brought you into that IP?
I fell absolutely in love with The Expanse when I first watched it, and I had never read the book. But once I watched that show and fell in love with the characters and the world building, it was clear from the TV show that the books were doing something incredibly outlandish, groundbreaking in terms of the science and the world building of the show. So I had to go and read the books. I haven't finished them, but I'm absolutely delighted. And I would never have known about it if I hadn't been watching the TV show.
Yeah, actually, I also went out and bought several of the books right away after watching The Expanse. Great series. I also did not get past like the first book, but I watched all the shows. So
I think for me, Fallout. I never played the video game, don't know much about that world, played the board games or anything, but I definitely wanted to go check those things out after watching season 1 of that show.
Yeah, I think I played the first Fallout game back in like 1992 or whenever it first came out. Like, it's super old. But after that, I never played any of the rest of the games. Yeah, great series also. I would have no way to know if it was a good adaptation or not, right? But it did expand my horizons for a new audience.
Yeah, which is great. You know, I big fan of Fallout for a long time. I used to sit and play Fallout 3 and drink a beer and wander the wasteland. And having that brought to the screen was actually really enjoyable, and it's mainstreamed a unique kind of perspective on what could have been and how they build that world into a way that people recognize it. You don't have to have been a fan of the game now to be able to see those signs of the Pep Boy shit and the Nuka-Cola caps and all that kind of wiggly waggledy do.
Yeah.
50s post-nuclear Holocaust shit that is in the show, but it's so much fun to watch. So it's cool to see that
waggledy do.
Yeah.
Don't make fun of my,
the way the world has been
words.
The way the world has been going, I've been saving my bottle caps because I might need them for currency later on. So
or as, you know, a weapon, something to shoot out of your slingshot.
Yeah.
Lord. Yeah. I think of like how computer games. So I'm watching The Last of Us right now, Steve. You brought that up, and I'm on season 2. And I'm like, how do you make a video game that's kind of like this? Like, so I don't play any video game that relies on like my speed or dexterity. So like the last video game I probably have ever played is like a Civ 6 or something like that. So there must be a whole world out there of what video games are like.
Yeah.
You know, because I was playing the turn-based stuff like XCOM, which I think would be a fantastic movie or some kind of show. Because the world building there is pretty cool too. And it's all about like a small kind of insular squad of people that you come to know well in the game. So I think that would be a beautiful thing to adapt. So that's an IP I would love to see out there.
Okay, cool. All right, how about so when they make these adaptations, right? They end up changing something. Something gets changed. Is it inevitable that they're going to change things? And is it all right that they change some things?
It's inevitable and it's all right. Film is a different medium of storytelling. You have to change a ton of it to make it come across to the viewer in ways that you can expand and let it breathe more as a writer and as a reader experiencing that text. Like my huge problem with the first 2 Harry Potter movies was that they were actually the exact same as the book. It's like, well, why do this? Right? Like there was no, other than you got to see someone act as Harry Potter, there's no like, so it was a big so what, you know, and once they started to diverge from the books a little bit.
So you didn't like it because it was too true to the source material?
Yeah, it was just too true. It's like scene by scene. It's just like, okay, the thing I used to imagine is now like done for me, and what was there is gone, kind of thing. You know, and the flip side of that though is when you do something like Game of Thrones in the end, but where
we don't even know what it's in the end.
You have no source material anymore to draw on.
Right.
So
yeah.
But I think it's inevitable, and I think it's good, and I think it offers a new way of telling a story. Because I already read the story, I want to see something a little bit different.
Maybe you haven't, but yeah, okay.
So
yeah, well, and if it was written to be received on a book, it's not gonna play it the same way when you put it on screen. It should be different. Pacing's different. Scenes are different when you can see them than when they're just described.
All right, now is too much change no good though? Like in our intro, right? Like they completely drop stuff or change motivations for a character, or I don't know, rewrite plot lines, that sort of thing.
Add completely useless and a waste of a character into a plot that already had plenty of dynamic and deep characters purely for the purpose of adding some sort of romantic interest or adding some sex appeal into a film or a book that didn't have any. Is that what you're
Yeah.
talking about, Steve?
Yeah. Yes, adding random redheaded elves who love a dwarf, things like that. Like, why would you do that?
Steve,
Yeah.
they did it because it was real.
It was real. It was real. Oh my goodness, so bad. Okay,
Is this real love?
Maybe we should talk about one of these adaptations in more detail. Maybe,
Steve,
I think we should
go off on the Rings of Power like you like to do, Steve.
Okay.
Just so I can yell at you and refute you for an hour.
Here's the one I'm going to do, and this is my opinion, and it reflects my opinion, and I'm entitled to my opinion, right? So, The Rings of Power, the Amazon TV show developed by J.D. Payne and P.A. McKay, that was released in 2022, is a take on the Silmarillion, or at least the Second Age, published posthumously by Christopher Tolkien in 1977 for his father. Now, Amazon only had the rights to the appendix of the Lord of the Rings, not the entire Silmarillion, which really kind of, I think, hamstrings them, right? They're not even allowed to use certain names or not. So, as somebody who's read all of the Lord of the Rings, if you go back to our December episode here on the Hills Have Nerds, I talk about Lord of the Rings, right? And so, obviously, I like this IP. It's one of my favorite IPs. And I read it as a child and as an adult. I think they did a terrible job on the Rings of Power. Just mangled the story and the characters and the world that was so meticulously crafted by J.R.R. Tolkien that it's one of those IPs that, like, I watched the most recent season so I could hate watch it, just so I could complain and bitch about it. It was so fucking bad. Okay. Whatever. I'm already getting upset about it, right? Like,
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that this could matter this much.
It could, right.
Now, Steve, there were shining moments in the midst of that steaming pile of absolute dog shit.
Cinematography. The guys working the cameras, great job. Set design, wonderful job. Costuming, great job. All the technical aspects of it, well done. Storytelling, pacing, dialogue, acting in some cases, just terrible. Bottom of the barrel. Like, you know what I mean? Like the bowels of Isengard sort of stuff. Where did they come up with this?
No, maybe this Tolkien shit just wasn't that good to begin with.
No. This was one of those where they just didn't understand what they had, I think. So.
Well, the truth is, now getting down to the real of it, I do also a enormous Tolkien fan. I read the Silmarillion when I was in 6th grade. And by the time I graduated from high school, I think I had read it 6 or 7 times.
Yeah.
And I deeply loved the material. And they had a major problem in that they tried to tell the story of 2,000 years in
2 months on screen. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just incredibly truncated storytelling, which hurts things. I think, too, that they didn't have access to what happened before outside of the appendices, but to include in the show. But they could have still used the depth of character as written and pulled that into the show. And there they also failed. Galadriel she isn't the person that they put on screen. We never see a Galadriel that looks like that at any point. In the Silmarillion, in the appendices, it's just a manufactured character. To be the foil of a show, it doesn't make sense. There's no love interest between Galadriel and Elrond. I mean, God, she's practically like his
grandmother.
great aunt.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yep.
They're not related by blood, but I mean, Galadriel sat in the house of Melian and King Thingol, and she was basically part of their household there, and obviously that's who Elrond's grandparents are. So she's practically family. There is no love relationship being kindled between the two of them, and it is very clear that Galadriel is the senior between the two.
Yeah.
I don't know why they threw all that out the window.
Well, and like you said, the time-wise, they take like characters who are not alive with each other and put them on screen together, or there's the whole thing with Durin, right? The Durins are like Durin 4 is like the reincarnation of Durin 3 or something along those lines. And here's two of them on screen together. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, some of the time stuff, and it could have been really interesting where you have, you know, the elven characters last from season to season to season. Like there's going to be like 5 seasons of this or something. And your human characters and your less long-lived characters are only in for a season or so and they die off because of the way it is. And you see that enduring age of the elves and all this sort of stuff. And they just don't do that. They also manufacture the whole, like, the elves need mithril because their tree of life is dying. And without it, they're all going to fade from the world. And that's total bullshit, right? Like that, they just made up.
That was a big stretch.
Complete made up to create some urgency that was not necessary.
So, Steve, totally made up to create urgency. That's called storytelling, and that's called film.
Yeah, but it doesn't
have to create. But it doesn't fit this, and you have to create a reason for characters to do stuff. Sitting around and trying to figure out. Sitting around trying to find some fucking elf's motivation for the next 2,500 years is a fucking snooze fest on film.
There is motivation. There are other stories to tell. There's the crafting of the rings. There is the creation of like Sauron's one. Like there's other stories to tell.
Look, Daniel, when you pull something out of your ass, it's gonna be shit. Yes, that's the problem. They just pulled it straight out of their asses. Now, if they had actually like cultivated a motive that made any fucking sense,
well, imagine
it wouldn't be bad.
Imagine you're a viewer
because the characters can't be the deep characters that they're drawing from in these books, and also be the short-sighted, headstrong. They're trying to build a motivation that doesn't fit the character they're trying to draw from, that fits in the world that they're playing in. It's like they took a fucking Sailor Moon and tossed her down into a
Pokemon
Faulkner novel.
Yeah, okay.
Well, imagine you're not a super nerd loser like the two of you who just wants a good story in the world that you fell in love with in the early aughts with the trilogy. It's just fine.
It's not just fine. It's
just fine.
It's ridiculous.
It's beautiful to look at.
I actually did.
Wait. Season 1. Season 1's plot is we have to get the MacGuffin so that we can use the MacGuffin to break a wall so that we can flood the volcano so we can set off Mount Doom. Just hit it with a hammer and knock the wall down, and it's the same result. Like, it's just, and yeah, it's just bad. It's just bad.
Now, I will say there are some shining moments in it that are completely fabricated. I think Gandalf and the Tom Bombadil bits are completely not grounded in any bit of Tolkien's work. And yet at the same time, there is a depth in that interaction that feels like the sort of thing that belongs in Tolkien's world. Now, it is not as good as anything Tolkien would have written, but the wandering of the hobbits, right? That we know that they were wanderers early, so they pulled from that and they built a story around it that fits with who these people are and what they would be. And that made sense. Those bits fit. I think the bits with the dwarves are actually pretty damn good. Like, I like that the dwarves are struggling. I like how they interact with the mountain, that they sing to it to know where the ore is. I think that makes sense. Like, it fits in the Tolkien world. And I even think that the friendship between Elrond and Durin makes sense. That there was a tension there, but also a deep love that's clear and explains the friendship between Elrond and the dwarves. I think there are bits in there that make sense. It just that they wrapped it up with so much other absolute boondoggle.
Yeah, the Tom Bombadil actor is excellent. Like, I agree. He feels like Tom Bombadil. Like his interaction with Gandalf, minus the Hobbit stuff, proto-hobbits, whatever they are, like that just drags. There's storytelling that goes nowhere with zero motivation.
I love the hobbits. That was one of my favorite parts.
That's my least favorite part. 12 episodes of
But
The
it's the
Hobbits,
most
and
Tolkien.
they need like 12 minutes of them.
We're back for like fucking 2 chapters, just talking about
But
how hobbits love eating mushrooms.
But they don't exist there. Like they just like the world he builds, and they just put stuff
But
that
we
doesn't
know that
exist.
is where the hobbits came from. They
It's
came from the
not.
walk of the east.
It's so bad. It
No, not
takes away
that
from
part.
the story. Takes away from the story. So, I mean, you could have them there, but not nearly as much. But back to the other point, though. Yeah, the dwarves generally are pretty good, and Elrond's interaction with the dwarves. It's very difficult for me also, and this is me, to see a different actor as that character after watching the movies, right? And that's the thing that that's a minor nitpick I can get over, right? Because you're not going to have the same person playing Galadriel, the same person playing Elrond, and these are younger versions of them by several thousand years, so it's okay. So that took me a little while to warm up to the Elrond actor, and I never warmed up to the Galadriel actor, and I think that's because the writing for her is just not as good as the writing for him. And you don't care, like her interactions with, like his interactions with Durin are pretty good, but hers with everybody else are not. So you're like, I don't know. Some other scenes were not bad. When Celebrimbor puts the ring on and you can see him kind of falling, and like, how are they going to explain this? But there's just a lot of it that just, I don't know. I just can't get past. Yeah.
All right, Scott, what about you? What's a franchise or a film that maybe one they did right?
I mean, God, you want to pick one they did right? Oh gosh.
Or did you want to just bitch and moan like Steve?
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
It's called critiquing. And
Is
there's
it?
I'm like, yeah, it is all constructive criticism. I was told if you can't do something right, don't do it at all. So they should not have done that at all. Anyways, moving on.
Wow.
Yep. I would harp on the way they treated J.R.R. Tolkien's Hobbit. If I were gonna fuss about anything, I think that's the one I would fuss on the most. Just because they really did change so much that they didn't have to. Because it's just such a good story as it is, and it reads so easy, and it portrays on the screen. It'd been done before and done well. You just needed to do it better, and it would have been amazing.
But you needed 9 hours of it.
Instead, they made it 9 hours long. They added in bits that we're not supposed to know about. They're not in The Hobbit for a reason. We don't need to know how Gandalf and Galadriel and Saruman and Radagast drove the evil out of Dol Guldur. That doesn't belong in The Hobbit. The Hobbit is supposed to be about The Hobbit, this guy on his journey.
We'll give it away.
Those 3 movies are not about Bilbo in any way, shape, or form.
No, those movies are absolute shit. Those are the worst. There, I'll agree with you.
That to me is a mangle.
You will get no argument from me about that debacle and travesty.
Like at a certain point, I'm trying to like let it go. I'm like, what? I'm watching. It's okay. And then they're in Goblin Town, and they all fall down this pit thing, or Goblin Town becomes this effectively a video game level where you can see where you're going to have to jump here and swing across this and slide down. And it was like, yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah, that was about where I got. I just couldn't anymore.
Yeah. There are the occasional good scenes in it as well, you know.
Sure.
Clearly the best scene in all movie is Legolas defying gravity, running up the bricks as a Jedi
like
Knight.
The staircases.
The staircase that's falling. He's falling at the same speed as the staircase. Yeah, because he can do that. So.
Well, Legolas is all you gotta do cool shit like that.
My son and I just watched the Two Towers, and Legolas throws the shield and surfs down the stairs at Helm's Deep and shoots arrows the whole time. And my son is 12, and he's laughing because it's so ridiculous. He goes, "Since when can he do that?" Yeah.
Yeah, even
yeah, it's a mess. It is.
Yeah.
All right, what's a good IP? The Expanse? I thought was great.
Expanse was great. Let's talk about an old IP. I would love to talk just for a minute about Blade Runner. Now, this is
Ooh,
this is a movie that is, in all honesty, it is nothing like the book. The book, for those of you who don't know, who are maybe illiterate, despite being in our
a nerd.
glorious hills and a nerd, if you have not read Philip K. Dick, yes, that is his name. His name is Philip Dick, and he wrote the book "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?" It is one of his more well-known novels. He has quite a few, and I love many of them. And quite a few of them made it onto the screen in one form or another. Scanner Darkly, The Man in the High Castle was a TV show based off one
Oh
of his
yeah, I
books.
watched that. I watched that.
Yeah, it's a good one. The book is really amazing, brilliantly well done. Uh, Blade Runner, it takes the topic of this Blade Runner guy who's hunting down androids, which is the core of the book, too. And it then plays around with the idea that maybe he's an android, but he doesn't know it, which is complete bullshit. That couldn't be further from the truth. If you read the book, it is very clear in the book that he is not an android. As a matter of fact, there is a number of Blade Runners in the book, and none of them are androids. But the androids are trying to get them to think they are. The movie took a different turn, but it turns out really well. It's a really good fucking movie.
Okay, can I admit something here? I have never seen Blade Runner start to finish.
What?
No.
That's offensive, but I haven't seen it in years and years and years, and I definitely haven't seen it since teaching existentialism. And it's one of those texts that you, or it's like a book or a movie you'll show to your existentialism class because it's all those themes. But I haven't seen it since I was a kid, and I only watched it because Han Solo is in it, and I don't think I understood it.
I've seen sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. All these moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Beautiful.
I'm guessing that's a quote from the book.
Yes, no, from the movie.
Oh, okay.
The Rutger Hauer is
Rutger
absolutely a genius, and he improvised
so
these lines, and he brought so much power to the characters of these androids. The actors who make up the cast of this show is just absolutely phenomenal. They take it into a new space, and the director, everything about it is well done.
No, it is an interesting and beautiful movie. I remember that.
I have it on DVD.
I need to watch it again.
I watched
You
it
should.
all the way through.
It is worth a good watch.
It's slow. It's like,
I don't mind that. I like a good build. I like a slow burn. I need to have the characters. I need to get to know the characters before they start doing stuff. So I don't know. Anything else? What else is out there? Good, bad, ugly?
So what about Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones.
Did y'all read Game of Thrones?
Oh yeah.
No, my wife read it, so she would tell me that things were, the same or different. But she has the ability to not care if it's different. And that difference not always bad, right? It's just sometimes it can be troubling.
No, I mean it got unhinged in the 8th season, but I thought like the first 5 were legitimately good.
Yeah.
I could never. I don't think I made it past season 2.
Love the South stuff, like the story in Dorne and the characters in Dorne. A lot of book readers are really into those. That's like kind of book 4. The show mangled that plot in a sort of unforgivable way, and that's too bad. But I think this is like what at the time 5 of those books, so roughly 48,000 pages. To deal with this is as trying to make a film out of it. I think they did a great job.
The one thing,
season 1 is one of the best seasons of TV you'll ever have in the history of TV stuff.
One of the things my wife liked that they did different was they jumped between characters in the same time frame instead of one book being about these three characters, right? And then you read 12,000 pages on these three characters, and then you have to pick up another book to find out what was happening to the other characters. So that's one of those inevitable changes where they could do where let's bounce back and forth between the North and the South or wherever it might be, and see what everybody's doing at the same time instead of going way out and then having to backtrack and see somebody else.
It's the same kind of thing that the trilogy did with the books, right? And for Lord of the Rings, and you have to do that.
Yeah.
I think there's no way
Absolutely.
you can get a movie watcher to kind of buy into the book's structure that way. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you have that way. Maybe you're not as interested in Tyrion Lannister, but you're really into Jon Snow. So you're like, well, I'll watch the Tyrion stuff so I can, because I know the Jon Snow's coming up.
So
if I have to wait 12 episodes,
wait 6 minutes. Yeah.
Right.
And you can go back. Yeah.
Yep.
100%.
Another IP that I think is an interesting one we haven't dabbled in is Marvel, right? 80 years of comics, Marvel MCU, very different, very interesting, completely different types of characters. And in that one, they deal with that whole like, well, we're not going to follow the source material because multiverse. And off they go, and they can do whatever they want. So,
yeah, talk about a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Steve, I hear there's a good podcast about that.
Oh, yeah. We have friends over at the Critical Encounters podcast. They do a Marvel Champions show. We have had a couple of their folks on the show before. Josh and Aaron, they've been on here. So
that's right.
Yeah. Well, shall we wrap it up, gentlemen?
I think it's time.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
It's a delight to have you, as always.
Yeah. What IP out there did Hollywood mangle for you? You can email us at criticalencounterspod@gmail.com. Is that right? This doesn't feel right. You can come on our Facebook, search for Critical Encounters Podcast. You can come inside our Discord. You can check out our YouTube, search for Critical Encounters. And we want to thank our Ko-Fi supporters out there. You help make the show even better. This week, we'd like to thank Winkster, Xlax, and Pixel Bro Lee. And you can support us on Ko-Fi. Just go give us a search for our show. All right. You can also get some cool
money.
Yes. Yeah, give us your money. You can get some awesome Hills Have Nerds shirts from Mystic Stitches. Check out mysticstitches.com. And Lee is out there making great retro RPG. Check out his YouTube channel as well.
That's right.
Did I forget anybody? I don't think so. Oh, yeah. Josh, go fuck yourself, you motherfucker. There you go. You cockwobble. You cockwobble.